Okay, is it recording? It is recording, I think. Did y'all see a recording message?
No.
Let's try it again. It says stop recording, so we're recording. Okay, let me start. Okay, welcome from the IIBA Tampa Bay, Florida chapter. This is the 70th study group in March 2023. We are going to be working on the BABOK Chapter 9 Underlying Competencies. Our mission here is to bridge the gap between industry leaders and business analysts by building partnerships with professionals, educators, and employers so that we may empower, instruct, and engage the BA community. You can reach us a variety of ways. Right now, you've reached us on a Thursday night between 7 o'clock and 8 o'clock Eastern. Our past meeting recordings have been dropped into the chat, but you can see all of it, well, 99% of our past meeting recordings, anything that we didn't have technical difficulties. You can also reach us through the IIBA website, meetups, Zoom, Facebook, and we have 2 different ways on LinkedIn. Our sponsor for this meeting has been Watermark Learning since we began over 70 meetings ago. Watermark has given us free access to their practice test study questions. So they have agreed to let us use them as our sponsor. They've also given us a discount code. The discount code to use on their site is Tampa with a space 21. This will give you 20% discount on anything you purchase from them. They not only have business analysis items, but they have a couple of other topics that they cover as well. We here at the IIBA Tampa Bay, Florida, are a volunteer-led organization. Our board is led by Cliff Gray. He is taking a well-deserved break this week. Lori is our Vice President of Finance. Caitlin and Priscilla are board members at large. My name is Thea Soren. I'm the Vice President of Career and Professional Development for the chapter. You can reach me should you need to ask a question or ask for mentorship or guidance through LinkedIn. My LinkedIn ID is Thea Soren. It's pronounced Soren like a bird soars or is Soren, but it's spelled S-O-E-H-R-E-N. We do need some new board members. If you have any expertise that you would like to share, or if you want to develop a new expertise, reach out. We don't need you necessarily for a 2-year commitment. If you want to give us 3 weeks or 5 hours, we can use you. If you have experience with finance or incorporating in the state of Florida, I am particularly interested in having a conversation with you. So please do reach out. To get this study group accredited, we have to have a CBAP in residence attend the study group classes. Our CBAP tonight is Bob Churchill. Bob has earned his CBAP as well as a variety of other letters after his name. He has a website, rpchurchill.com, and he has a wide variety of really important and interesting articles that he's written on that, and he continues to produce more. So if you were there 3 weeks ago, go back and you'll see something new. If you have any questions or suggestions for Bob, you can reach him at bob@rpchurchill.com. Yulia is usually here. She might be here and maybe just not on camera as well. Yulia has been a student with us for a while, and then she earned her CBAP on September 2nd of last year. It is a joy to have people that have joined us and then they come back and they say, because of you, because of this effort, because of this organization and these meetings, I am better for it. So she was able to earn her certification. We've got a couple of other people that earn their certifications at different levels, and they are often here to contribute and continue to help build our community. Okay, I'm going to switch over now and go to the study questions for the night. This is Watermark Learning. Sorry guys, I got to grab everything underneath this thing, make it bigger so you can see the whole thing. We're going to begin a new exam on underlying competencies, which is chapter 9 of the BABOK. This is a 25 question exam on just this chapter. It is critical that you participate verbally. If you want to come on camera, that's even better, but participating allows us to have a conversation about why a certain answer is not right or why another answer is right, and to point out to each other, hey, you missed that one word in the question that's really important. but unless you know it's important, you just totally miss it. So we're going to start with this, and I'm going to read the question and the answers, and then we'll open it up for conversation. The first question: Keely, the BA, is struggling to getting the new project team to buy into his ideas and concepts. Which interaction skill would be best utilized to address the problems that Keely is facing? Is it facilitation, teaching, teamwork, or leadership and influencing? Are all of these truly in Chapter 9?
Yes.
Okay. So which one would be the best answer?
Well, for me, I would think it would be leadership and influencing,
Why do you like that answer?
because it's the team's, I would think because the team is not buying into these ideas and concepts. So he's trying to change their idea of thinking. So he will be influencing the way they're thinking. So that's and leading and showing leadership. So that's what I would think it will be D.
That is good reasoning. Do I have a second vote?
That was where I was going to go as well.
Okay. Let's check the answer. The answer is correct. Keely is hoping to influence the project team to buy into his ideas. Very good. Next question. Stephen is preparing for a requirements review of several use cases with a large group of stakeholders who are not familiar with this technique, use cases. How should he best familiarize the stakeholders with use cases? Prepare a training session with exercises and materials, prepare an overview of use cases and make a presentation to the large group, ask them to attend a training class on use cases, or tell them to ask questions whenever they don't understand something.
Well,
I would. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Cynthia.
I'm thinking D is not the answer.
Why?
Just because it seems rather unproductive. If people are unfamiliar with use cases, then one of the A, B, or C's seem to me to be the better thing to do to get them introduced to the use cases.
That's good reason.
Cynthia, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I was thinking either A or B. C, I wouldn't think would be the answer because you can ask them, but it doesn't mean they're going to attend. Because you want them to make sure that they're understanding. So it's a cross between a teaching and learning. So that's why I was thinking A and B kind of falls under teaching and the learning aspect. But I would think more of A is preparing them, because you're actually teaching them how to go through and understanding the use cases. So I would prepare a training session for them and go through the exercises of this is a use case and make sure that they actually understand what's the use case. So I would lean more towards A.
The more detailed class.
Yeah.
As opposed to just an overview.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds like I've got 2 votes for A. Let's check it and see what we get. And that's true. A short training session could focus the teaching on what the stakeholders need to be able to review use cases. Very good. Which of the following is not an underlying competency listed in the interaction skills category? Leadership and influencing, teaching, problem solving, or teamwork?
Is it B, teaching?
Why do you like B?
Does not sound like a competency to me.
Okay.
I'm just guessing over here.
Okay.
I agree with B because teaching look like a not interactions. It's just one way. Teacher.
Okay.
How do you feel about C? I don't know what the book says, but seems to me that A, B, and D all involve interaction. Solving the actual problem is the formal analysis. Now, if you do it right, ideally there will be interaction, but maybe they're differentiating the work from the engagement, maybe.
I
So-
was going with C as well. I was thinking that problem solving could happen independently,
Yeah,
whereas teaching, leadership and influencing, and teamwork all have to do with me talking to you or you talking to me.
Yeah.
right.
That's engagement.
Okay, let's check the answer and remember that it's what the BABOK says that is in the interaction skills category that would answer the question and get it correct. So yes, problem solving is an underlying competency in the analytical thinking and problem solving category. So very good. Good conversation, guys. Matt is the lead BA on the project team that will standardize conscientious business processes.
Contentious.
Thank you. Contentious business process and automate it. The team has a limited amount of time to elicit requirements. One of the BAs on the project is not comfortable with the elicitation technique chosen for the project. How should Matt deal with this problem? Find another BA to work the project who is more comfortable with the elicitation techniques. Insist that the BA use the elicitation techniques due to the limited time available. Meet with the BA in person to discuss her concerns, or send the BA an email with an explanation of why the techniques were chosen. According to the BABOK, what's the correct answer?
I think it's C because that's what I would do, but I don't know that that's what the
I would do-
BABOK would do.
I would think with C, but I actually do C and D for good measure.
Okay. So I heard you thought it was C, and I heard someone else say they didn't think it was C, they thought it was D. Is that correct?
No, I was thinking it's C from a BABOK perspective, but I would just say personally, I'll do C and D. I'll reach out to the person personally and send an email.
I understand.
In situations like this, you want to do it as an aside, not in public, and you want to act on your own authority. Don't form it out to somebody else to do. And this is also an opportunity to do training, point them to resources, and so on.
And provide encouragement. Let's check the answer in this interest of time. Okay, meet with the BA in person to discuss her concerns. Trustworthiness, leadership, and teamwork skills are needed to effectively work through a BA's concerns and resolve them. Good job.
And every body of knowledge says the same thing. I was taught the same thing in NCO school, in the Army, in my PM cert, everything. It's always the same.
Great. Which of the following are effective measures of industry knowledge? Understanding the terminology or jargon used in the organization, understanding of how additional capabilities that are present but not currently used can be deployed to provide value, knowledge of and ability to use the office productivity tools and technology prescribed by the organization, or having knowledge of major competitors and partners. We're talking effective measures of industry knowledge.
Is it D?
Why do you like D?
Because I remember reading about it.
You mean that's what the BABOK says?
Yeah.
That's brilliant. Let's go with that. And it is correct. Good job.
Thank you.
If you'd have asked me, I'd say they're all perfectly good answers. Some
Well-
are better than others.
For industry knowledge, some of these are more internal than external for industry. So we have to figure out which one is the best answer according to the BABOK to be able to pass the test. Next question. The greatest amount of information about the speaker's attitude and feelings is conveyed during conversation through which of the following means? Words and content, tone of voice, emotions, or body language?
I find this kind of tricky because it could be B or D, but since a lot of the work has been virtual, I would go with tone of voice.
Okay, I understand what you're saying. Remember, we're talking about the BABOK that was written 10 years ago.
I'd say
Then-
D.
Okay. Did you say D as in dog?
Yes, D as in dog. Body language is usually the most easy way to convey attitude.
Okay, do I have a second vote?
I was, I was thinking it was tone of voice as well, but I mean, if I smile, but then I say something in a snarky way, which one is it? Body language or tone of voice that you get?
And body language is hugely important and not always well enough understood. Leaning forwards or back, or facial
crossed.
expressions of
Uh-huh.
crossing your
Yeah.
arms like
Yeah.
Robert said.
Turning your body away while you talk. Yeah.
Yeah,
Let's
okay,
go
let's
with
get this
body
answer.
language.
Yes,
Wow.
general knowledge answer. As I recall, I think it's like 80% of the attitude and feelings and meaning are conveyed with body language.
And that's across every knowledge area also. It's always the same.
Yeah. Which statement best defines the business analyst role in conflict and issues management? The business analyst ensures that the stakeholder with the approval authority understands and accepts the requirements. The business analyst records all approval decisions in a requirements management or tracking tool. The business analyst determines how to secure decisions and resolve conflict across the initiative, or the business analyst obtains stakeholder approvals and is required to understand who holds decision-making responsibility and who possesses authority for sign-off across the initiative. According to the BABOK, which one? This is conflict and issues management.
C.
Tell me why you like C.
Actually, I started eliminating options as you were reading it. So I do not think it is A. So if a BA shouldn't, I mean, that's, it says first option says BA ensures that they accept the requirements. So this is already saying conflict and issues management. So that's not A. So recording approval decisions in a tracking tool has nothing to do with resolving issues or issues management or in conflict. So that's why I don't think it's B. And so D, and I don't think it is D. It just C looks correct, and I think I read something similar to this.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Mm.
agree because it mentions resolving conflicts, and conflict resolution is one of our main skills.
Yeah.
On the other hand, D appeals to me because different people may have the authority to do sign-offs and whatever in different situations, and the BA needs to know what the rules are and make sure the right people have their say. So that's like a racy matrix kind of thing. It may well be C though.
Okay, well, let's check C and see what the right answer is. And it is. The business analyst's role in conflict and issue management is to determine how to secure decisions and resolve conflicts across the initiative.
It's in the question, so
It is. Good job.
by far the best.
The BA who relies solely on their technical knowledge might be the least likely to utilize which of the following tools: rational rows, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, service-oriented architecture, or Mercury. These are all techniques.
I would say B because it has the human element. It talks about the various levels of human need and accomplishment. So
Yep.
finding people's strengths, for instance, and playing to those strengths. The others, rational rows, is a a software package. And so I would imagine that somebody with technical knowledge might lean toward rational rows or service-oriented architecture or Mercury, which is an outdated thing. It's now ALM, but Mercury Test Director. Those are all kind of technical solutions, but the B is the human solution that the technical person might not lean toward.
That makes good sense, Jim. Is there anybody who has a second vote? Anybody?
I think Jim killed it.
I agree. I was just thinking there's nothing else to say. This tool helps the BA understand motivational needs and has the least to do with technology. Okay, how would a core concept of stakeholder be applied to the elicitation and collaboration knowledge areas? The BA acknowledges that all stakeholders may participate in different roles and at different times during the change in plans during a change in plans accordingly. The BA identifies stakeholders. The BA communicates with various stakeholders in accordance with their preferences, or the BA analyzes stakeholders to understand their preferences.
I think in stakeholder analysis, one of the key things is looking at people's personality styles and whether they're going to support an initiative or derail it, or how they want to get information. So the BA analyzing stakeholders to understand their preferences, I think as a candidate, the BA acknowledges that all stakeholders may participate. I mean, that's true, but not all stakeholders. I mean, that's a good recognition, but I'm kind of leaning toward what do you do in stakeholder analysis and stakeholder engagement? I mean, identifying stakeholders is true, but we need to know more about them. So I'm thinking that D outweighs B, and the BA communicates with various stakeholders in accordance with their preferences. I think C and D are my two favorite candidates. Do other people have a way to narrow it down?
So I am also leaning towards little B, sorry, D for dog. So C and D look very similar, except C says BA communicates with various stakeholders, and D is BA analyzes stakeholders to understand their preferences. And we are talking about elicitation and collaboration. So it's, oh God, I'm again confused now. So
Think
You kind of
about
need to do
what-
D to get to C. So
is it C
I
now?
was leaning toward D.
So
Go ahead, Rob.
you first define the problem, then you talk about it, figure out what it is. And elicitation and collaboration is actually kind of complex and bi-directional depending on what phase, but usually it's finding out what's going on now from the customer, internal or external.
So then C would be the
Out what their
logical.
needs are. So you will already know who the stakeholders are and what they want by then. Now you're solving the problem.
Yeah, so I go with C on that because the key is you're in elicitation and collaboration at this point. You should know their preferences by that point and be communicating according to those
I agree with
preferences.
C as well.
Question?
Let's find out what the answer is.
Wow.
Oh,
So, knowing them, communicating with them according to their preferences, we also have to understand that during certain phases, you're going to have different stakeholders that are involved potentially.
Yeah, that's one of those ones you just have to know what the book says.
You got to learn the voice of the book so well that whenever you see it written here, you hear it. Julie is a business analyst that has just received her performance appraisal. Her manager praised her for the confidence her stakeholders have in the process she uses for helping them select correct solutions on her projects. What competency is Julie being praised for? Effectiveness of Julie's decision-making abilities, effectiveness of Julie's creative thinking abilities, effectiveness of Julie's problem-solving abilities, or stakeholders include the BA in decision-making process.
So just looking at, just reading the question, I didn't even read the options, but I thought that this is trustworthiness. But now reading the questions, I feel it is D. D for dog.
Okay, why do you like D?
Because so the stakeholders like the confidence she has in the process that she uses for helping them select correct solutions.
But is D a competency in the BABOK for?
Oh, no. I mean, so decision making, creative thinking, and problem solving, all are competencies.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember BABOK saying, so stakeholders include BA in the decision making process. Sorry, I'm confused now.
It's okay.
I was
Talking through
wondering,
it.
I was wondering about C because I'm reading in here, helping them select correct solutions. So helping them, Julie's not making decisions here. And
No.
she's not necessarily being creative here, but she is helping problem solve. She's doing problem solving to get to the correct solution.
Okay.
That was kind of
so-
my logic. Did others?
So your vote is C, correct?
That was my feeling also.
Okay, let's check this answer. One measure, confidence of the participants in the problem-solving process that is selected, that a selected solution is correct. Very good. Okay, which of the following would not be an objective of negotiating? Creating outcomes that satisfy various interests, resolving disputes, holding out for the most advantageous position possible, or agreeing upon courses of action. Which one is not right? According to the BABOK, not according to yourself. Sorry, I saw Bob's grin.
So would the answer be C?
That's what I
Holding
was
out.
going to go with as well.
Me too. Let's see if it's right. And we are right. This is a lose-lose proposition according to the BABOK. Sometimes it feels good, but it doesn't help everybody. If a BA was trying to understand how a major change in a process impacted the organization, and they were trying to identify the reinforcing feedback loops and understand how the system adapted to external pressures and changes, the BA was utilizing which competency? Is this decision analysis, problem solving, systems thinking, or learning?
C, systems thinking, and this is because looking at the question more, I gravitate more towards systems thinking.
Okay. So reinforcing feedback loops, how system adapted to external pressures and changes. Do you feel like those are terms related to systems thinking? Okay, I've got
Would
nods.
agree.
I'm going to go with it. All right. Systems
Now,
thinking focuses on looking at the system as a whole in order to identify the complexity of issues that may be causing major changes or how the change is impacting the system. Apparently, I've got Windows protecting me. Yay.
Yeah,
Okay.
systems thinking is also about how all the pieces fit together and interact.
Very good. Okay, the next question.
Cynthia,
Maslow's.
question.
Oh, I'm
Yes.
sorry, Cynthia. Yes, your hand is up.
Yeah, so this is regarding Maslow's law hierarchy.
Mhm.
So I remember in the previous question, it states that the BABOK doesn't essentially speaks to this. So if you're taking the CBAP and focus on the BABOK question, will this ever occur? Like there's certain theories or hierarchies or laws that's not discussed in the BABOK. Would that ever appear during the CBAP examination?
Yes. Hold on a second. Let me grab my book here. I'm going to turn to the very back of the title page, which makes no sense at all. If you open up your BABOK, turn in one page, not even before, this is before the table of contents, and you look down and it's going to say things like Archimate is a registered trademark of the Open Group. Business Model Canvas is copyrighted by the Business Model Generation. Keeps going, TOGAF, Unified Modeling Language, Zachman Framework. Those things, at least part of them, if not all of them, are not listed in the BABOK any other place. And whenever I protested that, why are these questions on the CBAP certification quiz? They said, as professionals, it's our job to investigate techniques that are related to our profession and be educated about them. So even though Maslow isn't talked about in the BABOK, Maslow is a critical thing to understand why people do what they do. And so you do need to understand a couple of things that aren't in the BABOK to be able to answer these questions on the test. Now, not doing the investigation into them will not mean that you're going to fail the test, but you won't have the information to be able to get the answer correct, potentially.
Yeah, it's interesting how this is mentioned in the PMBOK, in the Project Management Book of Knowledge, specifically,
Right.
because it is a personal skill and an understanding of how people operate. Given that I studied it there, I'm going to go with self-actualization, because you go through basic needs and love and belonging and self-esteem, and you get all of those lower pyramid needs met, and then you get into self-actualization, which is like having a vision and moving forward and having the skills to accomplish new things.
Right.
That's what I'm going to go with.
Very good. Any other votes on this?
Yep, I agree.
Okay, let's go. I would encourage everyone to educate yourself on a couple of things. Maslow's hierarchy of needs is very good to be in any interpersonal relationship. Additional things that are not in the BABOK that I have found beneficial in my professional as well as personal life are things like The 5 Love Languages by Gary Smalley. Goodness, there's a whole list. I tell you what, if y'all have things that you think are beneficial, drop them in the chat and we'll go on.
Yeah, I actually wrote a blog post about some of those.
Awesome. Will you drop the link in the chat for us, Bob?
Yeah, I'll see if I can find it.
Or you can drop it in the chat next week.
Right.
But understanding why people do the things that they do is hugely beneficial in working with people. Okay, next question. Question 14. We're halfway through the meeting. We're on good terms, guys. The conflict has emerged between two stakeholders about conflicting requirements, and you are facilitating a mediation meeting between them. All efforts to achieve compromise in the meeting so far have failed. What is one of the best things to do now to try to break the deadlock before ending the meeting? Explain the impact and consequences that the stakeholders' failure to agree will have on the project. Warn them that the sponsor will have to impose a resolution if the parties cannot agree. Tell them the meeting will not adjourn until an agreement can be reached, or there's nothing the BA can do in this situation other than to adjourn the meeting and escalate the issue to the project manager. According to the BABOK, what is the correct answer?
It's not C, so we can start eliminating first, I think. Because we
Lock
can't-
the doors.
Yeah, you can force them to come to a conclusion. So it's not C. And B is the language seems very not good. Warn them that the sponsor will have to impose a resolution if the parties cannot agree. So that also doesn't
That
look
doesn't
well.
sound like the BABOK, does it?
Yeah, the BABOK will not say something like that with this language. So I think it's A, because so this issue or this conflict resolution is a BA's job. So just escalating it to the project manager is not a BA's job. It's resolution. So making them understand what the consequences will be will at least force the stakeholders to come to a conclusion, then not have any. That's what I think.
That's a very good reason. Do I have a second vote?
That's where I was gonna go too. And I was hesitating because it says that all efforts to achieve a compromise have failed. And I would think that I don't know that reminding them of the consequences will help them decide. But
it may help them be more invested in coming to a
to a
resolution.
resolution. So that's kind of why I'm leaning toward A myself. Anybody else?
I've got 2 votes for A. I'm going to go ahead. And it is correct. If a conflict arises among stakeholders as a result of a differing interpretation of an issue, the business analyst should facilitate communication between the stakeholders so that each group can gain an appreciation for the needs of the others. You overheard a work colleague say something you believe to be unethical and clearly not in the best interest of the customer. You said nothing at the time. However, after thinking about it, you decide to take action. Which underlying competency would be most effective in this situation? Written communication. You send her an email detailing your concerns. Verbal communication. You call her and express your concerns. Verbal communication. You express your concerns to the project manager. Or written communication. You send an email detailing your concerns to the project manager and copy her boss.
I tend to go with
Verbal
B,
effects.
verbal and one-to-one seems always the first best step. And then if you can't resolve it, you could go through sending an email or verbal communication to the project manager, or, D would not be the answer because it's really antagonistic and it's
It is.
escalating too soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got agreement on that. This one is called triangulation. Whenever you go to someone else about the activities of a third party, it just causes more problems. And it is correct. Verbal communication allows the sender of the communication to ensure the information presented is being understood by the receiver. Very good. What is considered the best way to teach something? Use a formal presentation and exercises. Use a mix of visual, auditory, and hands-on activities. Test the learner's knowledge, or use hands-on exercises to reinforce new material.
I'm
Is
going
it
to
B?
say B.
B.
Yeah,
I think we got
because you're
it.
using various senses, and people are different. There are different kinds of learners:
Very
kinetic
good.
learners, auditory learners, visual
Understood.
learners.
Yeah.
Very good. Helps you reach all learning styles. Okay, Eric is working on a major project with a looming deadline. The project will greatly benefit the bank he works for, especially if the team can finish it on time. In fact, Eric's whole team will receive a bonus if they can deliver before their deadline. Eric just discovered an important new feature that would significantly improve the solution, but would interfere with the projected deadline if the team included it now. What should Eric do? Ignore the requirement since Eric knows another project will be launched to address the new feature. Because the feature is important and of value to the company, work on it even if it means not receiving the team bonus. Bring the feature up to the project manager and let her decide, or recommend a course of action and let the sponsor decide.
I lean
I would go
towards
with
B. B for ball.
Okay,
I was-
why do you like B?
Because it's, again, I start reading the options and I start eliminating. So A is not the right, ignoring the requirement. Because there is nothing, the question doesn't say anything about new project launching to address the new feature. So it's not A. And C also no, because again, it's not, the BA's job is to make decisions and not take everything to project manager and make the project manager decide on it. And also not D, because sponsor, I don't think it's D.
I'm gonna
I do
argue
think
for D.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think our job is to say, these are the options we've considered, and this is the value of this option, and the sponsor needs to say, we're willing to take the risk to make this recommended solution a reality and delay the project.
Okay,
Yeah, I agree D too.
okay, I've
I
got
think,
2
yeah.
votes for D. Let's check the answer. And it is correct. Raising the issue and making recommendations are good behavioral traits for a BA, and making recommendations is a central tenet of business analysis. I've actually had to tell people I don't get to make any decisions. It's not my job to make decisions. It's my job to gather the information, communicate the information, and be sure that people that need to hear the information hear it. After that, it's on y'all. You have published-
Facilitate,
Say it again.
facilitate so the
Yes.
right stakeholders make the decision and buy into it.
Right. I'm not saying that I don't have opinions. I have opinions. I'm not allowed to express my opinions unless I'm asked. You have published and distributed a hard copy of your requirements package to your stakeholders. Which of the following is the most important consideration regarding this type of written communication? You've included all your diagrams. Nothing. You'll explain everything in the requirements walkthrough. You need to ensure you get sign off on the document. You need to adjust the style of writing to the needs of your audience.
I'd go with D.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, I've got to tell you something. I wrote this knowledge area over 10 years ago, and I'm reading this going, yep, that's what I wrote. That's great.
Yay.
Good job. Okay, next. Lexi is communicating business analysis information to resource managers via email every Monday as per the stakeholder engagement approach. Lexi is frequently contacted by several of those same resource manager, asking her about the information that was already emailed. What should Lexi do to resolve this breakdown in communication? Refer the resource managers to the email. Lexi needs to engage stakeholders to ensure they understand the information is being communicated and the email is an effective mode of communication. Replace the email with a weekly meeting with minutes that can be referenced after the meeting, or begin scheduling weekly conference calls to provide a forum for follow-up discussion. Which of those would be effective according to the BABOK?
I would think it would be B. It's like a form of
Yeah.
interaction. And you're trying to understand why. B.
B.
B as in boy?
Yeah.
Okay, I've got 1 vote for B.
I also lean towards B.
Okay, seconded. Check the answers, and it is correct. Very good. Which of the following include categories of underlying competencies described in the BABOK? Interaction skills, communication skills, business knowledge. Tools and technologies, communication skills, systems analysis. Business knowledge, communication skills, retrospective skills. Communication skills, interaction skills, and analysis skills. Are there any of those that are not real in the BABOK?
D.
D.
So
D and
we
C.
could-
D and
we
C.
could- I'm sorry, did you say B?
No, C and
B
D
and
both. Cat and dog.
B and D. Okay, so these 2 are eliminated. We are down to 50% chance of just guessing to get it right. Which one do we think is right?
A.
A. A for apple.
Let's try it. Very good. All categories of underlying competencies. Thank you all for actually reading the chapter. Woohoo! Okay, let's view the results.
Drum roll.
Guys, You
Woo!
rocked this. You rocked this. We've never had a 95% on the first go round through this. So we have 15 minutes left in this meeting. Do we want to go through some more questions? Do we want to discuss what we're going to do next with techniques? Or do we want to plan on going through this chapter again next week with a 95% this time?
I have another option
Tell me, Jim.
of maybe as a question of how do we prepare for the case studies. I've not seen one. I don't know how long they are. I've heard they're like a page and a half. Are any of the questions that we've been taking on this exam a case study format?
We have done any situation in the watermark questions where there's one description and more than one question, that's a case study.
Okay. So that's,
And they're not particularly difficult, but apparently many test takers struggle with those.
Well,
I don't know why.
let's talk about reasons that they might struggle with case studies. Case studies have a lot of information in them, and they don't all pertain to the question or the answers. There's superfluous information. You know, Betty was a new BA just starting with her first day of the job, and she's working for a bank in a big city, and she came from a little town. I mean, you don't need to know all that, but you got to read it all to get to the guts of it. I would suggest that whenever you come to one of the case study questions on the test, that you read the answers first and then go read the question. Read the question and the answers first, and then go back and read the case study. That way you can pinpoint what is it I'm trying to get out of this thing, instead of, because you end up like doing stuff left and right, trying to figure out what am I supposed to be learning. So read the question and the answers, then go back and read the case study. You can read it twice. You've got 3.5 hours for this test. You have time to do it. But
And all the questions could be exercising different parts of the exposition in the case study.
right, it's true. Cynthia, you had your hand up. Did you still have a question?
Yes, I do, regarding the exam. I just want to know if would the exam also cover any type of financial questions?
There are going to be questions about estimation, the technique of estimation, which will require some financial information. It's not super deep. You're also going to have some questions about use cases, case studies, business cases. That's the word I'm trying to find. Business cases. And you just need to understand the format of a business case as according to the BABOK and the financial information that should be included in that. Beyond that, Bob, do you remember any other?
There is, I'm glad you brought this up. I was thinking about it as I was driving last night. And that is, there are more than one question, like 2, 3, or 4, that talked about predictive versus adaptive. And agile is adaptive and waterfall is kind of predictive. And the idea is whether you're feeling your way in trying to adapt as you learn and discover things, or whether you create a plan proactively and then work to the plan. So that's what it's getting at. As a practical matter, you're always somewhat adaptive, because no plan survives first contact with the enemy, right? But that's a big dichotomy that they hit in multiple questions, so be aware of that.
Okay, what other questions do we have about taking the certification test, whichever one you're planning on taking?
And
Yes,
there
Bob?
will be, at least on the CBAP, a few questions that involve a small amount of calculation. So not necessarily financial stuff like ROI, that's more project management stuff. But there will be a tiny bit of math.
Again, though, if you struggle with math, this probably will not be your downfall of taking the test. Okay. Let's talk very briefly about how to get the training hours that you need to be able to apply for the test of your choice. As I'm sure you know, if you go to the IIBA website and look up the test of your choice, it will tell you how many training hours, accredited training hours, you need to be able to apply for the certification test. There's a wide variety of ways that you can get those training hours, and they are listed there. However, it doesn't tell you which companies you can go to or things like that. Some of the training hours you can do on your own study. You know, I studied for 5 hours on my own. I don't remember how many it is, but your own study, you get a certain number of hours there. You can get training hours from accredited training providers through the IIBA, and they have a list of them and on their website, accredited training providers. Every one of those are going to charge you money. You can do it that way if you want to, just be aware. Additionally, you can get training hours from attending training classes with the IIBA's different chapters all around the world. Then there are some with the Agile Alliance, PMI, other organizations that have anything that has anything to do with any of the knowledge areas that are covered in the BABOK. So if you're looking at analysis, you can get training hours through organizations that have analysis. If you're looking at interpersonal skills, you can go that direction. But just be able to say, this is related to chapter 9, this is related to chapter 6, this is related to this particular knowledge area, and you can claim that as training. You do need to have something from them that says, I got this training in case you get audited. That is nothing more than something with some official looking letterhead from that organization that said, yes, this person attended this 3-hour training on Wednesday night at the local public library, and John Smith at the bottom, and a contact phone number and email. So it's not super formal, but you do need to have something that proves with some accuracy that you did attend this training on this day and it was this title. And if you have a synopsis or a syllabus of the training, that's even better. If you have stuff from your local community college or your local college that is an actual course, you can take that. Just be able to prove your hours, because it's the number of hours that they require. They honestly don't have any way of saying, is it good quality training or bad quality training? They don't have any way of saying, did you show up and get checked in and then leave at lunchtime and never come back? I don't know that they know how to do that. I'm not encouraging unethical behavior at all. I'm just telling you, don't freak out on trying to get this. This is not a showstopper. It's just a hoop you have to jump through to be able to apply for the test. Other things to apply for the test. If you go back to our original study group question, session number 8, you'll see a list of things that you need to have. A couple of things you need to have are 2 references. Whenever you send in your application, they will immediately, with no delay, not 1 minute delay, send an email to each of the people that you identified as your references and these people need to answer that email. So you need to have talked to them before you submit your application, so that they know to look for it and they know that it's coming to them and that they agree to be your reference, so that you can get that back to the IIBA as soon as possible. I would encourage you to ask them to please respond within a week. Give them a few days, but give them opportunity to know that it's coming, know what you need from them. Explain, I just need you to tell them that I did work for you between these years and I did business analysis related activities. You don't have to have a business analysis title to do business analysis related activities. We have 5 minutes. Ask me questions about applying for the test or anything else. Yes, Bob.
Jim asked a question in the chat.
Okay, let me go to the chat. And while I'm doing that, Angela, you have a question?
Yes. I would like to add how I am gaining professional development hours. So I had actually called IIBA customer representative because I was not understanding how do I gain professional development hours. And I did not wanted to spend, because other institutes were charging about $1,000 or something like that. So I wanted a way out of this. So they told me that I could get my professional development hours through LinkedIn learning courses. And I got the premium for that, LinkedIn premium. I subscribed and I am doing certifications on LinkedIn, which is obviously related to business analysis. I'm learning a lot through those certifications also, which is helping me study BABOK, and also through these study chapter groups. So I'm just letting anyone who is interested that we can also get PD hours through LinkedIn Learning. And if you get the certification, you scroll down, you'll see it is certified, or it is recognized by IIBA, PMI, and all the certifying organizations. And they are 1 hour, 2 hours, usually that long of a certification, which is easy, I think. So just wanted to put it out there.
That is
That's fantastic.
fantastic. Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. LinkedIn Learning hasn't been around a long time.
Watch our classes and they count for an hour. Watch it
Yes.
at double speed.
Hey, not all of us are slower in speaking. Sometimes I speak really fast. Sometimes, not often enough. Probably watch it at double speed.
That.
And
because I often watch videos through Scrum and PMP and other orgs and so on, or PMI at speed. So I speed them up and they count.
Okay, awesome.
Take notes.
I would like to add something more.
Yes, please.
So before studying for this particular chapter for this Thursday, underlying competencies, I did the certification called Studying for the CBAP on LinkedIn Learning, and I got so many great tips and many tools and many templates. I got to know something called as brain dump, where you literally dump everything on a paper. Before starting any chapter, of course, after reading once, and then you brain dump, and you however many times you revisit the chapter, you first brain dump and then go forward with it. So there are many templates that was provided, many technique mapping templates, requirements traceability matrix template. And there is also one CBAP application worksheet. There are excellent tools that the teacher provided in that certification. So I highly recommend whoever is going to go for CBAP should definitely take that course. It will really help you in studying the BABOK effectively and also appearing for the exam. I'm doing CCBA, but it helped me a lot. It doesn't matter actually with certification. It's actually the techniques and tools and templates and all the tricks and tips that was shared in the certification. It's only 1 hour long, but I'm sure it is going to help a lot of people, especially who are going for CBAP.
Perfect. Thank you so much for sharing. I'm sure we'll look into that. I've got 2 questions here. Jim says, how do we determine who will facilitate the study of individual techniques as we get into the techniques chapter? Jim, I will literally have a spreadsheet in Google Docs and people can claim whichever techniques you're interested in presenting. Bob, do you have a technique that you want to start with next week?
Well, I will pick a handful. So, the last time we went through, I wrote blog posts for 20 of them and presented from those. Thea did a bunch and other people filled in around that. Those are all there. Most of them are recorded. However, this time through, I'm going to volunteer for another about 10 overall. And as we go through this over and over, I'll eventually write up 50. But you know, I'll pick one or two for next week. See, I can do one, and then after that, feel free to volunteer to do whatever makes you happy, whatever your favorite techniques are, whatever you want to learn about. You can have one ready for next week. So,
That's true. Actually, we will post the techniques we're going to cover next week on the announcement that Cliff puts out. I'm scrolling back here. But if y'all do have techniques that you're interested in covering, I'm going to ask you to do two things. I'm going to ask you to have visual aid that takes at least 5 minutes to cover and present what's in the BABOK. And if you want to present also how you use it in the real world, that's great. But we do need to identify what the BABOK says about that technique, because that's what the people will be questioned about. Cliff, Bob, while I get the next question, would you find out what Cliff scheduled? We have a meeting next
yes.
meeting or the meeting after. Would you get that ready for us?
I think the 30th. Let me check.
Okay, check that, and I'll answer this question for Robert while you're doing that. Robert asked, for someone like myself who's new to the ECBA, do you recommend self-taught training or paying for a more traditional instructor-led seminar for both spoon-fed information and development hours? Okay, Robert, this is my suggestion. Depending on how fast you want to take your certification, the company that Bob used for his training is called Adaptive US, and it seems that they do a really good job of quickly providing you information in a structured format that's easy to understand. If I were to be in your situation, I would take a ECBA course with them and have them walk you through it and be able to answer questions as you go.
They give you your hours very quickly, which is why I did that. I'd already done this stuff forever. I just didn't know the words for it. So we met Saturday and Sunday for 3 or 4 consecutive weekends for like 4 hours a day. So in 4 weekends, we had 32 hours. And then 2 weeks later, I think on Saturday or Sunday, we did the last 3. But, you know, there were participants from all over the world. The amazing thing is maybe 20% of the people took and passed the test that took the class. So take the test. It's not scary, it's not easy, but jump in there and do it. I know when I got my Six Sigma black belt, half the people didn't do the project for a class they're paying $4,000 for. That made no sense to me.
Okay.
So if you want to go quick, they get you through it quick. And will always help you prepare in any way I can.
I appreciate that. No, it's not so much that I want to get it done like in a few weeks. It's just about, you know, is it worth paying for, like, are they going to supply like a really good learning environment, you know, rather than is it going to be more advantageous than just trying to do it myself? I've never been a very good self-learner. I'm good at teaching others, but terrible at teaching myself. So I guess if it's worth the money, then I'd much rather go to a structured environment.
Yeah, they do have a structure. They've been through many cycles. They have professional practitioners. I would be one of their facilitators or mentors if I could still talk.
Okay.
So you know, I got my cert almost as soon as the classes ended, and nobody could believe it. So it's doable. If you wanna just get it done, and not even fast, but in an organized way,
Yes.
by people who know the territory, definitely for me it was worth it.
Okay.
Your situation may be different.
Okay.
So
If
a
they can do
couple of
weekends,
things,
it's all that matters.
a couple of things, Robert. I do encourage you to actually read the book before you take the class, so you're familiar
Yes.
with the material. I do encourage you to check out not only Adaptive US, but Watermark Learning to see the different types of classes.
Mm.
And I also encourage you to consider your learning style whenever you choose which style of class you're going to take.
Okay.
A class in person is going to give you a very different experience than a class that's virtual. And I honestly don't know if they're doing in-person classes, but consider what you need for as a student to learn to be able to determine which kind of class is going to be most effective for you.
Understood. Virtual would not be a problem. I've had to go to that mostly since I've been doing most of my learning while working at the same time nowadays. So
Of
that's,
course.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You pick what's good for you. Okay. Any last questions? Oh, I'm sorry. Bob, you were going to tell us about next.
Yes, March 30th, 2 weeks from now, beginning at 6:30. We're going to do a joint event with the East Tennessee chapter, like Knoxville, Johnson City, maybe Chattanooga, that area. And they're going to have one of their people present. So that's going to be good.
Okay, so that's March 30th, beginning at 6:30 Eastern time. We will publicize the link that you can follow at that before that week. Next week, we're going to start on techniques chapter. And then those of you who want to participate in presenting techniques, you can sign up then. We'll figure out which techniques we're going to start with. Typically, we try to group them, you know, 2 different type of diagramming techniques at a time or something like that, so that you can be in that groove whatever you're learning.
Also, Saturday, this Saturday, we're doing a park cleanup at Durant Park in Tampa, beginning at 10 a.m. So if anyone is interested in coming out and picking up little pieces of paper and cigarette butts and whatnot, join me. I will be there. Cliff will be there at the very least.
So let me set the stage. This is a city park that is probably 2 blocks big, 2 blocks large, maybe. You'll see 8-10 people from the chapter there that you may never see before. You may have the opportunity, if you're very lucky, to go to lunch with this group of people afterwards and have a conversation and get to know each other. I encourage you to do this. It's not only good for our community, but it's good for your networking. And you can say you were involved in, you know, community help, outreach. Also, if you do volunteer to present one of the techniques, you can put that on your resume, guys. You know, I presented this technique to the chapter and on this date. It's, you know, it may not be a big deal to you, but that might be a big deal to somebody that wants to know if you'd be a good fit for a position that sometimes you might have to stand up and talk to people. So there's that. look for our announcement of what's coming up next in the LinkedIn, Facebook. Cliff puts these all over the place. He puts it in the IIBA site of what's coming up next. We will put the techniques that we're going to be talking about next week. And then, of course, the following week, we're going to take a week off and join the other chapter. And then we'll continue on with techniques. Techniques are critical. As you know, if you've been with us for a couple of weeks, every single knowledge area refers to the techniques that are pertinent to that task. And they want to know which technique that would be used. There's a couple of techniques for most tasks. They want to know what the strengths and weaknesses are of that technique. They want to know what are the elements of that technique. This is your chance to learn the techniques, even if you're not using them in a normal day-to-day work. If you know these techniques, it's like having new tools in your tool belt, and you can pull them out whenever you need to, and it gives you a wide variety of techniques to use for a wide variety of purposes. Okay, I'm going to wrap up. Do we have any last questions or comments? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I apologize for leaving my camera off. I was doing the max headroom thing again, and I've got to get my camera fixed, but well, my memory probably fixed. But I will see you next week, and I look forward to seeing everyone next week. If this has been a benefit to you, tell somebody about it. They might be able to enjoy it too, because obviously I'm hilarious. Okay, guys, I'll talk to you later.
Thank you, Tia. Thank you, Robert.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
So we have 3